Oh, I see. We have
properly.
we got pets today on this episode, guys.
I can't see you, but I'm sure. I'm assuming you've got a cat in the camera somewhere.
No, he's just licking himself on the bed. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is the second part of State of Exile, excuse me. Episode 30, the Awakening Discussion. Today we're going to be discussing our experiences in beta as well as the 1 month race. It's a pretty nice casual kickback episode. And in case you guys missed it, we just finished part 1 with Carl, so you should probably watch that first. So let's get things going. Pox, what the heck have you been up to in the beta?
So are we gonna give like a full rundown or just like
it, man. The whole
All
thing.
Right. So I originally started playing a. I wanted to play a Fire Trapper because we were told Prolif is getting changed. Prolif did end up getting changed. It's 30% less damage and then scales all the way down to level 20 to 20% less damage. But then we ended up finding this new gem that wasn't technically out and didn't have a skill icon at release of beta. Release of closed beta, and it was called Fire Nova Mine. Ended up having a lot of fun with Fire Nova Mine. Got to like mid 80s or something with the character, and it was pretty cool. And I think the skill had like a 125% damage effectiveness, and I was having a lot of fun. And then patch notes came, and bam, minus 50% damage effectiveness, down to 75%. I'm like, all right, no more. So then I went to go play some Rain of Arrows. I was having some fun with Rain of Arrows. Was trying to do like a dual range attack totem Rain of Arrows character, which is it's totally manageable. But I guess for me, it's too much investment to look for LA damage on your rings, LA damage on your quiver, and some other stuff. There's LA damage you can get really all over the place with Wed, and it's a lot of investment for me. It's not really my style. So then I decided, let's try out some casters. Let's play some Freeze Pulse. People don't really know much about it. It's been changed a lot with shotgunning removal. Let's see how it goes. And Freeze Pulse was a breeze to level with. I never really had any issues. I ended up going crit. Freeze Pulse is 6% base crit. I ended up going Totems as well, since you now have the new Rain of Splinters gem, which allows 2 additional projectiles, so you don't really lose a link anymore, because normally you would have to use LMP or GMP with a Spell Totem, which is partially why I wouldn't use it. So on top of the Spell Totem buff, which is instead of it being 50% less damage, it goes down to 31%. The mana multiplier was cut from 250% to 200%, and totem life has gradually increased by an insane amount. So ended up playing Freeze Pulse, was having a lot of fun, got myself to 16, 17k DPS for all the Tooltip warriors out there with a 5-link, had a lot of fun, and then I went to sleep and woke up, and Freeze Pulse was nerfed by about 22% damage.
The bringer of nerfs.
It was. And on top of the Freeze Pulse nerf, they also nerfed the projectile speed by 20% for some unknown reason. When I'm pretty sure Freezing Pulse is the only skill that loses damage as it travels. I could totally be wrong. There might be another skill. And then they nerfed Rain of Splinters, which obviously was not my doing by any means. That's everyone used Rain of Splinters. So it was like a 3-way nerf. So then I got really mad and crafted an insane 6-link staff, and then identified a 720 ES chest piece with Tri-Res. Now I'm up to 30k DPS on my Freeze Pulse, and I'm kind of just keeping it right there. So that's pretty much what I've been up to in the beta.
That's without hypothermia as well, right?
Yeah, that's without including hypothermia or cold pen, but that's with 7 charges.
Pretty absurd. Pretty absurd.
I would say it's okay. It's standard. Like right now, the goal is to actually drop damage and run a Sire of Shards, because if you can kill mobs in 1 hit. Isn't it better to just use a Sire of Shards, place the totem, it explodes and one-shots everything? Like that would be, you'd lose single target, but if you're just killing rares,
discharge.
It's like Ice Nova essentially. Yeah.
You lose the +2 gem, and you lose.
You lose +2. You lose.
You get a free 5 projectile without damage penalty, the jewel.
Yep. So you get a lot of proj, which is more damage than my current weapon has. I lose spell crit. I'm 51% crit chance right now, so that doesn't really matter. I lose some cast speed. And I lose the +2 and 6-link. Ideally you'd have a 5-link, not a 6-link. So that'd be okay.
All right, Ziggy, what have you been up to in the beta?
So I hit up a elemental bow character. Hold on, what was the second build I did? I did the original one, which was the Cascade testing Eldritch Battery right out the bat when it was, just first introduced. It was pretty bad doing the Zealot's Oath life regeneration method, which is one way of supporting Eldritch Battery. It works, but it's like limited late game potential because you can't really go Vile Pact or anything like that later. So it's like an alright way to play like a budget character, but the potential is limited. Since then, I tested a Totem character. With Eldritch Battery just using recharge delay. Now that was I think I actually can't remember if that was before or after the change, but that was working quite well. Totems in general seem to work pretty well with Eldritch Battery recharge delay. It's probably one of the best case uses at the moment of Eldritch Battery in its raw form. So that works pretty nicely. Like you place your 2 totems down, you curse, and then by the time you need to do anything else, your ES is fully recharged. So that ends up working pretty well. And now with the recharge delay changes and with Essence Surge, you're looking at like, I don't know, a second and a half for your energy shield to start recharging. It's not too bad at all. So it works pretty nicely. It depends on the exact style of totem character you're using. I was using Spark Totem, and I had a bit of fun with the bugged out, what is it, Splinter Jewel.
Mm-hmm.
I was stacking 7 of those. Some of you guys who saw the Rory Q&A probably saw me doing like full screen Arctic breaths and stuff like that.
I saw your ice spear hitting in like a U shape because there were so many projectiles. It was like a 180.
It was glorious. It was glorious. It highlights how much more fun the game comes the more projectiles you get. So I was like trying to push Rory for letting us have more Splinter Jewels, but at like a more give it a penalty. He gave it a penalty, but we didn't get more of them. Damn it. So I don't know. Hopefully they add more or something, because more projectiles is more fun, man.
It's only reduced. That's why. If it was less, it's no different than using LMP, except you don't have to use the gem.
Yeah. So that was pretty fun. But most recently, I've been playing an Ellie Bow Shadow, and this is like one of the stronger builds I've made. And I went Ellie Crit Bow Shadow. Just standard. I used a a Death's Heart all the way into endgame. Damage was absolutely absurd. And then the aura nerf happened, or the aura change happened. I lost a Herald, and the damage was still insane. Like I really didn't feel like I lost anything. I basically just dropped Herald of Ice, so I lost a little bit of AOE. But with the new Split Arrow, oh my god, Split Arrow is so freaking good. With Death's Harp at level like 18 Split Arrow, I shoot 10 arrows. It'll be I think at 21, I think it'll go to 11 arrows. So with Chain, that AoE potential of that is absolutely insane. So I was using Eldritch Battery in that character with Vile Pact and ES on hit jewels. ES on hit by itself is pretty much enough to sustain Eldritch Battery on that style of character using Chain. The only thing was like single target. So I was using Life Leech Gem on the single target, and then the 6 link for the AoE was just full damage supports. So there's like some kind of decent efficiency there going Eldritch Battery. The investment wasn't very high at all, only a couple passes. And then I was able to sort of free up a support gem slot for what would usually be Blood Magic. But it's minor. It's minor. It's Eldritch Battery is workable. It's certainly functional. And there may be some very specific cases where it's worth it. But overall, it's just not worth it in enough cases now for it to be a super attractive keystone. So that character worked well, and did prove kind of to myself at least that Vile Pact Eldritch Battery works well. The idea is that usually Vile Pact trading off Life Leech for your mana is terrible. That's a super bad idea. Life Leech is one of your strongest defensive mechanics. But on an Ellie build, you can use life gain on hit, and you can get life gain on hit on jewels. I got a jewel that gives 9 life gain on hit per enemies. It's 3 per status ailment that's on enemies, so that works really nicely with an Ellie build.
Oh wow!
And then you can use obviously like the life gain on hit gem if you want to as well for survivability, which works really well when you're putting out 10 arrows that then chain. Like you get insane amounts of life back.
No, something to talk about with Split Arrow too. It actually has the same damage effectiveness as Tornado Shot, and I know before they were mentioning possibly nerfing T-Shot, but it's like by maybe buffing the other skills and giving like Tornado Shot a run for the money, I think that's a better decision, honestly. Because Split Arrow versus Tornado Shot, it's really hard to choose, and that's a good thing to have in a game.
Oh, sorry, just one small correction. Yeah, I said Vile Pact, I meant Ghost Reaver, obviously, for leeching to ES. The current bow thing, I want to test like a Fizz Crit bow character so I can more evenly test, because when you play Fizz Crit, you can play Ice Shot, Split Arrow, Tornado Shot, lightning arrow, all those skills like on the exact same character. So I want to test that some more. But so far it seems like split arrow has better AoE clear, but tornado shot's strength or its advantage is that it doubles as a single target. And you don't need to run a single target skill at all, since you can just use GMP tornado shot and it works excellent as a single target.
True, but then you can just use frenzy, and now you have frenzy charges for your split arrow. Oh my god, I love.
That's true, but if you want to not run a frenzy, then you could run like blood rage or something, and or some other way. You know, you can use curse on hit, whatever to get poachers to get frenzy charges, something like that. There's a few different ways of getting them. And there's the new shatter as well if you're using hatred.
From my personal experience when I was leveling my bow character, as a guy who's never played a bow character ever, I noticed that for leveling, at least for me when I was going Ellie based, tornado shot was, there was nothing that came close to it in terms of single target, and because of the just raw amount of damage it dealt, I didn't even need to use an AoE because I could just shoot a GMP and it would just annihilate everything. So,
Blood Dance super good now. Hope.
Yeah, frenzy charges in general, like playing this bow character. So this was an Ellie build using frenzy charges. I mean, normally you wouldn't use like the frenzy skill with an Ellie build because it was mostly physical based. But it's even pretty good even as a single target on an Ellie build. Not great, but still pretty decent, pretty passable. But frenzy charges themselves in the beta, oh my god, they're so good. I mean, like I like almost double my damage or something when I got all my frenzy charges up. I'm using Darkrai Vectors, so I have like 8 frenzy charges. And I just I just pop frenzy every now and then and keep those up while I'm running around. Have ridiculous move speed, ridiculous damage, ridiculous attack speed. It's frenzy charges are so strong on the beta. I kind of like I don't really expect them to go through like they are now. I don't know. What do you guys reckon about frenzy?
I think they're gonna get nerfed.
I hope they do not. Honestly, I'm actually pretty happy with the state of them because they've been like the crappy charge for how long now. And it's actually nice to see them get changed. 4% might be a bit much. You're right.
3.
Three would be much more reasonable.
Yeah, I mean 8 frenzy charges is 32% more damage.
But everything is more damage now too. Everything now is a multiplier.
That's true, but I'm just saying, like I still think that's pretty nuts, considering it kind of puts everyone in a position to want to get it. Like I'm not saying like the multiplier should be removed. I just think it should be toned down by 1%. That's all.
I like it now, and I see what you mean, Xena, that it's been so underused for so long. But I'm worried that in its current state, at the moment it's good because it's shiny and new, and I really like. I'm like, ooh, how can I make frenzy in this build? But I definitely see in like a couple months' time that I'm going to be like, ugh, I have to, no matter what, I'm going to have to get frenzy charge on this character because there's no way around it. Like, it's so good at the moment that I think every bow build at least that I make, no matter what I make, I'm going to run frenzy of some description to get frenzy charges.
The thing I'm worried about with frenzy damage is we haven't seen in beta, we don't see these low life RF tunes. You don't see these characters running around with all these multipliers. You just see, pretty much everybody's self-found. Friends help each other out. You might get some things from trades, but everything's overpriced. So we really haven't seen frenzy in its final state, when there's all these ridiculous multipliers. So in that essence, it might be a bit OP. But in terms of beta right now, it feels great. It's new, like you said. Something I want to talk about with frenzy. A while ago, I made this 10 frenzy character going dodge. And in the current state of beta, it is possible to get 74% chance to dodge. 74. Use your Dark Ray Vectors.
Is that with the new jewel?
The jewel gives 2% dodge, and the hook swords now give 3% dodge per sword. But it's possible... You can actually get 76 if you corrupt...
Dodge is the new block.
If you corrupt Dark Ray Vectors with 4% dodge, but you would rather the Frenzy Charge instead, so... You can get 74 or 76% chance to dodge. The cap is 75, and never before have you been able to obtain the cap without Val Grace. So this changes a lot of things, and I'm really excited to see the new dodge builds. Or is this a buff to hybrid armor evasion builds? Because now you can get dodge with Intuitive Leap and Phase Acro. You can get 10% dodge using Intuitive Leap and Phase Acrobatics, and then use hook swords and things like that, the Restless Defiance and whatnot. And it's pretty cool. Uber Elite and I were discussing it. I'm going to try and do it next beta, see how successful I get. But it seems dodge, they keep adding more and more dodge to the game with the new jewel and the hook swords.
Yeah. Well, one reason I want to say why they're adding a lot of dodge is because if you Intuitive Leap past Acrobatics and you just get the little dodge nodes, they don't actually work unless you have a base dodge to go off.
What do you mean? If you get the dodge nodes, it won't give you anything?
It will not give you anything unless you have an actual dodge. Yeah, it's been confirmed. You have to, the wording shows it. If you read acrobatics says it gives you.
Have I actually tested it? Because I thought it would still be. There's other things in the game that have a similar wording that do work without.
Yep. Unless they lied to me. I'm pretty sure a dev confirmed it. I could totally be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they confirmed it.
Yeah, we talked about that a while on stream ago, and we were unsure about it. But yeah, okay.
I think acrobatics says specifically like you gain this much dodge, and the other ones are more dodge or whatever the wording is.
So yeah, what did you say total was? Xeno, you can get now
74 if you're dual wielding hook swords with a corruption frenzy charge on Dark Ray, or if you get
off the cap,
or you could get a 4% dodge corruption instead of the frenzy charge, and that'll net you 76.
Yeah, well, 75 is the cap anyway.
Yeah, so you just go for the 74. You can go dual wield and get 74% dodge. It's crazy.
That's pretty good. It's better than block because there's no. I mean, you can get block, remove the block recovery time, but that has no recovery time. Dodge, it just happens.
Yeah.
And it also works pretty favorably with evasion too.
And dodge is by far the best avoidance mechanic in the game for attacks.
Yeah.
There's no downside. It's much better than evasion. So I'm really excited to see how that's going to work, and probably going to get toned down. I mean, getting that much dodge is ridiculous. But yeah.
And at the moment, like, it sounds like, oh, sure, you're just like stacking, everything into getting dodge. But it's actually not that bad because you're stacking frenzy charges. You're still going to have really good damage with the current frenzy charges. You go Dark Ray Vectors and max out those frenzy charges, you're still going to end up with a lot of damage.
And you don't have to go frenzy anymore because there's now like 90+% frenzy duration. Dark Ray Vectors was 50% reduced, and now that it's over 90% duration, before there wasn't all these frenzy duration nodes, so you were forced to play frenzy to keep up your charges. Now you just go Blood Rage and have like a really long duration. You have a 14-second duration with Dark Ray Vectors and all the frenzy duration nodes, and you get 4% more damage per frenzy charge. So, I mean, like, the potential for these kind of builds is crazy. Before, it was like, they nerfed Frenzy again. Oh, you gotta use Soul Taker. Oh, you gotta use Blood Magic. You don't have to anymore. And that's going to make the build, like, really, really, really strong. Anyways, what I've been doing in the beta is I've been messing around with the Whispering Ice Staff, and I've had Etup and Uber, who've been playing a while now, give me a little bit of tips on what they've found. Apparently, Uber started off going crit, and Etup went low life crit, which was pretty absurdly strong. But as we just talked with Carl, using the Specialized Jewel and the Wisdom of the Path Not Taken Jewel, most likely to be changed. Specialized Jewel currently gives you 4% increased attributes per keystone, and people are just picking up silly ones like Necromantic Aegis. Oh cool, now my golem has a block for my staff, who cares? Conduit, whatever. And minion instability, like all these throwaway keystones that don't actually negatively affect your build at all, and they're getting like 28% increased all attributes. And as you know, Whispering Ice Staff scales off of int, and you get if you're going CI, that's more ES. So it is pretty crazy. And then Wisdom of the Path Not Taken is for every node not in the radius you get 4 intelligence from, and I mean the amount of int you're getting is pretty crazy. But from what I've heard, it seems that non-crit seems to be better for the staff.
Didn't Uber respec out of crit?
Yeah, he respec'd out of it. Apparently Necromantic Aegis doesn't even affect staves. It's only applicable to shields. So yeah, doesn't even do anything. So yeah. Whoa. Notice me, senpai. But yeah, with Whispering Ice Staff, I think it's one of like the most creative designs, and of course Rory created it. I really like to see more uniques like that, where you get one skill and it doesn't level up, and you have to figure out how to make it work. And getting a technically free 7-link without having to actually 6-link it is pretty nice. Anyways, all in all,
dogs decided to have a little bit of an argument.
Yeah. Oh, you have 2 dogs there? Wow.
Yeah, 2 dogs.
Oh, I didn't even know that. 2 doges. My goodness.
So, what's your overall take on Whispering Ice?
Whispering Ice Staff, I don't think it needs to be nerfed. I just think the jewels might need a little bit of an adjustment, because getting 10 intelligence is very, very key for that. And if they change it from like 1 to 2 damage opposed to 1 to 3, I think it would kill the staff. It already has a very low damage effectiveness, so things like added cold and added chaos don't help it out very much. I think it's good. It's good. The crit chance is 5%. It's solid. The problem are the jewels that affect it. they're a little bit too strong. Yeah, that's all I really got.
The brief time I played with it, it's a lot of fun, the skill, and I was pretty impressed with the potential clear speed you can get, and even using it on a character that only had like 600 int or something, or even less than that. Still felt really good, comparable to other skills at the level. So
absolutely,
it seems pretty damn strong. Yeah, I agree that I hope they don't. If they do change it, I hope they don't like just make it 1 to 2 instead of 1 to 3 or something like that. And maybe like I don't know, just like the spell damage scaling would probably be enough if they were going to remove a low or something.
Yeah,
seems weird that the int kind of double dips like that, but
well, it's not even that bad because you think about an average. If you're dual wielding, you can get yourself how much spell damage just dual wielding, or even one staff. Like, let's say you have 700 int. That's 70 spell damage. 70 spell damage is you can get that on a staff. So it's not that broken.
You can almost craft that actually on a staff.
Yeah.
So it's not that broken.
That's true. It's not that bad.
I think that his staff is really good. It has a lot of potential, and I would like to see more skills being developed on a unique like that.
Yeah, I like it too. I hope to see more too.
I think dueling wands, you can get 230% spell damage. Trying to remember how I forgot how much the prefix and suffixes combined plus the base. Maybe even more. Maybe like 260.
Okay.
But it really depends what you're comparing in endgame and endgame. So.
Yeah, fair enough.
In regards to the beta, like nerfs right now, things I think that might need a nerf is probably Flame Totem. Flame Totem is so stupid strong. When you get it at level 4, it gives you free projectiles. You got the dang jewel that gives you more projectiles. It's just like,
I
the new
win. Incinerate, isn't it?
It's so strong.
Sorry, the new it's like the new Searing Bond for leveling.
I mean, I dropped 2 Flame Totems, and I was playing a Templar. I was like, oh, I'll try Flame Totem, and see how good it is. And I got dual totems ASAP. I would just beeline to it. Got it. When it gets Comb, and the dude just like insta dropped. I'm like, how is this even fair? Like,
it's impressive how good it is given the shotgunning removal. So.
Yep.
It gives hope for other skills with shotgunning removal at least.
No, it doesn't even feel like it does. Like it feels like it's still shotguns. Honestly, I don't know.
Even before we find out it's bugged and still shotgunning.
Because the way how
shotgunning removal's okay, guys.
The way how I always thought Flame Totem worked was, alright, so Incinerate, you see all 5 come out at once, and Flame Totem, they come out in like almost, it looks like Barrage, where they come out individually, and when you add like different projectiles onto it, it just affects how many come out, but they're not at once, so I never felt like it was a shotgun. I mean, is it technically a shotgun? You know what I mean? They each come out individually at a separate time, just like how Barrage functions.
I'm pretty sure that adding more projectiles makes them fire out at the same time, but unless there's some like unique mechanic to it, as far as I know, it doesn't function like Barrage, but I don't know, I might be wrong. I haven't played too much Flame Totem.
Fair enough. I know, it just felt like super face roll when I played that character. I don't know. Flame Totem was definitely the most OP thing I played in beta. I mean, what's your guys' take? Are there any gems out there like you've played and you're like, wow, this is absurd, or wow, why did they nerf this? It didn't need to be.
Just Split Arrow, I thought Split Arrow was really strong, really strong. That's such a good skill now. So that's like, I'm surprised. That's like the strongest thing I've tested in beta for sure. I saw Lifting Nerd playing Flame Totem as well, and he was playing an endgame and it looked pretty damn good. So it's looking pretty nice. Yeah, Ball Lightning looks pretty damn strong. Cascade as well. Cascade is. I don't think Cascade's problematic though. I think Cascade's really good, but I kind of like where it is at now. It's just like the travel changes and then a bit of a damage buff. I mean, it probably could have done it probably still would have been good even without the damage buff, but just the traveling changes. So now it's not blocked by everything. But Cascade's insanely good. You'll see a lot of Cascade in the Awakening if it doesn't change.
Like when I was rolling into Whispering Ice, I was like, I don't want to stop playing Cascade. This feels so nice. Like going to docks and like shooting your Cascade like on the upward platform and seeing it go down. And I was like, whoa, this is unreal. It felt good to actually see Cascade not be terrible. I mean, it's always done good damage. It was just like
it went from a skill that I played 2 Cascade characters, one on live, one on beta now, And I really hated the skill on life. It was unfun to play. I didn't really like the way it worked. I mean, I liked it for leveling a bit. The behind-the-scenes mechanics of it are pretty interesting, but it was just so unfun to play. And then it went from that to being like, whoa, this is like one of the best skills I've played. This is super fun. I loved playing it. Just like things like Herald of Ice increasing the AoE, the changes to mob pack size, like the way mobs group up more now. That's a buff to Cascade. That's a buff to things like Cascade and Ball Lightning. So even without changing any numbers on the actual skills, just the fact that mobs group up more, that makes these skills stronger. And then also the travel changes for Cascade is insane.
I thought that Cascade was already really strong because I played a Crit Cascader and I was freezing endgame stuff and shocking endgame stuff on my character. And then I come in and see Cascade was like insane buffs. I was like, why would they do this? So I do like the quality of life change to it because I actually was trying out Arctic Breath since as I'm playing a cold crit caster, everyone's like, oh, can you try out this skill? Can you try out this skill? And, I tried putting Arctic Breath totems down and docks, and there was a white mob shooting up at them, and the Arctic Breath totems could not shoot over. So they were, they could not, it was just, there was like a random, like a pebble, and I just summoned both of the totems with splinters, and 6 projectiles are getting hit against this one little pebble. So, I mean...
Shotgunning versus pebbles confirmed.
Yeah, so it's like... that's that... I mean, they said they were working on it, I believe, right?
Yeah, they're working on that in Lightning Strike, I believe.
Mention it.
Yeah, because that's needed. That's like 100%, especially when you have a skill scaled with AoE, and you can't even get past the pebble.
The hesitance has been that if they just make every skill travel the same and not get blocked by stuff, then they lose their unique mechanics, and that was part of the unique mechanics of Arctic Breath. But I think they're kind of relenting on it now, just in the light of it being actually fun and usable.
The uniqueness is no one plays it because it freaking gets blocked by a pebble.
It was super frustrating because especially when you play a dual totem spec, you don't aim it. Your totem aims it. So if the nearest target is blocked by an object, it's going to non-stop shoot at that object until another target comes in a position. So it's really silly.
Some gems I didn't understand the nerf behind. I was super happy when they buffed Infernal Blow, but then they buffed Infernal Blow to have the damage not be reflected. But then they changed Reflect, so it's like, whatever. And then they also made it so it's 10% explosion damage instead of 25, and I'm just like, why? It was finally usable, and now we can't use it because it's over-nerfed. And they lowered the crit chance, too, so I felt Infernal Blow was just unjustly slaughtered. No reason for that. And then
no more Heavy Metal Marauder.
Lightning Strike, it's projectile. Well, pretty much all the qualities that gave projectile speed or pierce, they all got slashed. Like Lightning Strike with the 40% on the tree, and it gave 60% at 20% quality. Now you still can't even get 100% pierce anymore with Lightning Strike. I don't know why they nerfed that. I don't know, and then like you said, freezing pulses and ice spear. Ice spear is like so important to have proj speed, and then they nerfed the quality on that too. And I don't even think ice spear was broken at all.
And then they added projectile speed to EK though.
Yeah.
I mean, why are they removing enough other things that need it, but then adding it to something that did need it as well?
Yeah. EK or Fire Mortar is going to be my next build, depending on if Fire Mortar comes out.
I would wait for EK, man. I mean, unless you want to help it get buffed or something. I feel like it's still going to be really lacking in the beta.
I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna go crit and just do whatever I can. I want to see.
Yeah, crit EK is always like okay. It's hard enough. Just trying to go non-crit EK.
The problem with crit EK is you crit EK and you crit yourself and then you revive in standard. So.
Yep.
Some gems I'd like to say, like I didn't expect to buff, like Sweep. Sweep is now 100% no damage effectiveness. That's freaking crazy. In fact, you can go like Elemental Sweep now. It's like, what?
Yeah, that's interesting because the theme was always like AoE equals damage effectiveness nerf. Yeah. But the thing about Sweep is that, you're not, like, unless you're in the middle of the pack, which is enough of a trade-off, I think, you're not really using the full AoE. So that seems like a pretty decent change.
Yeah. And plus, now you can have those knockback gloves because Sweep automatically knocks back. You can have the Vortex with Sweep go Elemental, and it's like, what? Never used to do this. But they did nerf Aura, so good luck going Elemental for a while. Elemental two-handers, pretty OP. So,
yeah.
What other gems got unjustly nerfed, do you guys think? Is there any?
Lightning Tendrils.
Lightning Tendrils and Fire Nova Mine. Okay, I understood that. I'm surprised. Lightning
true.
tendrils.
They nerfed the AoE on it.
Lightning over mine.
They nerfed the AoE on lightning tendrils. Like, that's a great leveling skill. You get it. Well, do you still get it early on?
Yeah, they nerfed the AoE and they reduced its damage overall by 33%. It's so uncalled for.
It was a ridiculously good leveling skill. Like, let's face that.
That's fair enough. It was.
Good.
But it's also a channeled skill. Like, that's the unique part to it, is you gotta stand still.
Yeah. So here's my theory on lightning tendrils. I like the AoE nerf makes it seem like they're trying to make it into more of something that end game you can use as a single target skill, kind of like Flame Surge, Lightning's version of Flame Surge. But then they've nerfed the damage as well. I don't know, maybe they bring the damage back up now that they've nerfed the AoE. The idea of more single targets for spellcasters seems to be the name of the game, though. Like removing shotgunning and then giving these skills more AoE potential, but losing some of the single target potential, and then getting more people to run single targets. I mean, attack builds have run single targets skills since the dawn of time, but spellcasters has never needed to because of shotgunning. Now, some skills like Cascade and Ball Lightning still work fine as single target as well for the same skill, but that's just like Tornado Shot, right? It's the same. But most of them, it seems like you're going to want to go for a single target skill as well now, which is a bit tough on the gems though. But maybe that's the intention behind Lightning Tendrils nerf. Maybe.
I could understand the early game nerf, but the late game nerf, it's like, what? Yeah, check out my late game Lightning Tendrils build. Said no one ever. I don't know why it got nerfed. And then something I wanted to talk about was Ice Nova. Ice Nova got ridiculously buffed. Like the level 16 now is like the equivalent of a level 20 gem on live. Pox and I were looking at it and we're like,
I think 14 might be even.
Oh, it was
14 or 16.
Didn't it already truck on live? Like I saw some guys playing Ice Nova recently. Yeah. It was already crazy good.
But the mana cost is still like astronomical for no reason, and good luck without EB.
Yeah, I think the reasoning, the thing is though, that you have to remember is that since skills don't shotgun anymore, they had to raise it up, because instead of using LMP on non-shotgunning skills, the damage got adjusted, which means you get a free hypothermia. So does that make sense? Since you don't have to use the link, you get a free multiplier now. So I feel naturally they had to increase the damage of other skills to be able to compete with them.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Someone brings up a good point that Athene can now use Ice Nova successfully against Piesto and won't take him a half hour. Oh my god.
It'll take 20 minutes instead.
Yeah, the mana cost, I really hope to see a lot of skills get their mana cost reduced, because with the change to Eldritch Battery, it feels really sluggish. Like, I don't want to use a mana pot. No one wants to use a mana pot. Fix it, please. Those hefty mana costs, Cold Snap, Ice Nova, Fireball's got a pretty hefty one. There's no reason. Even like Ice Storm, like I'm still using Mana Leech in my 7-link setup. But like it's not easy to sustain that mana cost at all.
I just want to state that I'm level 86 and I still use a mana pot.
Pot's always that guy.
I mean, I
think it's actually like it's Super Dan's game, right? Everyone hates mana pots at endgame, and if you have a mana pot on your bar at endgame, people will like tune into your stream and just be like, "What the fuck is this? I'm out."
Look, I get hated on, but I'm also running a 6-link dual totem without clarity. So I mean,
yeah, I mean it's that's what I'm saying. It's like it's actually a decent option since they overhauled the flask a while back. It takes 1 flask slot, and then you don't need to invest in mana. Like, all the stuff you usually invest in mana, and if you're talking 5 to 10 points to make Eldritch Battery work, now a mana flask maybe becomes a little more attractive. But yeah, it depends on if it's something. I think you're playing a totem build, so I think it probably works best in that scenario where you can still keep casting. Yeah.
Yeah, none of my builds I play are like actually self-cast for the most part. It's all like you run in as a trapper, you throw traps, dead totems, you drop the totems, move on. But I mean, mana flasks really aren't as bad as everyone thinks. Like you can run like a saturated sanctified warding mana flask, and if you get flask duration, you have a 30-second warding flask, and you can negate the mana regeneration using Arctic Armor, so your mana just stays still, and you have a permanent warding flask. Or you could even do it with adrenaline, so you have permanent movement speed on.
Yeah,
there's a lot of
make
cool
them utility flasks.
Yeah,
totally.
just a lot of people don't want to work around it, because for the most part, You know, what's the first thing you do when you want to play a game? You know, how do I only focus on my life pool? If I can focus on my life pool, not touch my mana pool, I get an extra utility flask open. That could potentially be a granite, a ruby, quicksilver, topaz, you know, whatever it is that you want. So,
in your case,
I'm going to make a mana flask build on beta.
I'm doing it. My biggest problem with mana flasks is, okay, so you have these panic flasks where you get 100% recovery, or, you know, on low life, right? Why can't we get that on low mana with mana flasks? Why does it have to be on low life? Like, I don't understand that. What, you know, on low mana, you get your pot back instantly. I think that would be a great change. Or it works with Eldritch Battery, where it applies to your energy shield. I would like to see that change with mana flasks. Because in the current state of the game, when I find a sanctified mana flask late game, the only time I'm picking it up is if it has quality, because I want to get glass blowers baubles. That's it. I think that's the entire community. So, I don't know. Either they change how mana flasks work, or they have it apply when you pick up EB. That would be pretty cool. So that way we don't have to go Zealototh or Ghost Reaver. You know, more people would be willing to use mana flasks.
They did. Rory did say that they are looking at adding some affixes to flasks that might do something for energy shield. I don't know what yet, but I speculate things like, you know, instantly start your recharge, or have your recharge occur while taking damage, while the mana flask is active, or while the flask is active. Things like that.
Be so nuts.
Yeah.
That would definitely be supportive of Eldritch Battery, so it'd be interesting to see what they implement with that.
I would definitely like to see that change. I would actually use a mana flask if it affected my ES while it's on top of my mana, you know? That makes sense. So we got about 10 minutes left. If right now is a good time if you guys want to get some questions going to us. We usually do a Q&A at the end. And if you have any questions you'd like to fire out off at us, by all means, please do so. Do we have any saved up right now, Ziggy?
No, we didn't. We didn't work ahead on that, so we'll just answer the questions as we go this time around.
I got one right here. It's from Lidden. Do you think anyone will ever... do you think anyone ever will use reduced mana as a skill? When is it ever worth a gem slot?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, on the tree, people get the mana reduction, like the Templar, 2 points in the Templar, for example, all the time. It's pretty decent option. But as a gem slot, sacrificing a support gem for that. I mean, I guess it's the same as using Mana Leech if it gets your skill working without any mana problems. But no one uses Mana Leech at the moment. Not really.
I found a use for it finally, and
I mean, maybe it's like a replacement for Blood Magic in some edge cases.
I would say totems.
Yep.
Aura totems. If people decide to push the next level in doing that. So I can actually I do want to say that I could envision seeing aura totems coming out. Like my theory was like, I don't know exactly how the links go, but you run defensive auras naturally in one offensive aura, and then when you get to the boss, you drop down your aura totems. Like whether it be like, I don't know, because like think about it, if you're running through a map clearing, one-shotting mobs, one-shotting blues, you don't really need the damage to get to a boss or a certain rare. And then since the change is going to happen now where line of sight no longer obstructs auras, additionally they said they might even increase the radius of auras. Like you could potentially just drop a totem and it hits the entire screen with auras, and that'd be pretty neat.
Yeah, Carl did mention that he has plans to increase the radius of how auras work, and I would love to see that happen. If they just like maybe double or triple the radius of auras, be huge for party play.
Yeah, definitely that aura totem thing. So for those of you guys who are unaware, it's been crafted that you can get 0 mana reservation aura totems now with the changes. So that means we might see like you setting up a support totem, you know, chucking Grace on a totem and then chucking it down for nasty fights. It's like you know how we have like Rejuve totem, right? Some people use it sometimes to help with them have a bit more survivability, or a decoy totem. Maybe now you have the alternative of creating your own utility totem by you putting an aura on it. Now it takes a fair bit of investment in terms of like you need like a jewel and some mana reduction, like mana cost reduction on the tree and stuff. But you can potentially do it, and you can maybe even get it so it's just a little bit of reservation, and that doesn't like if that's not affecting you and screwing up your build, that can work too. You don't need to get it to be completely free unless you absolutely need that. So that's an interesting idea. I'm hoping that kind of goes through to live. I think it's pretty cool. Haste totem, yeah. Chuck it down for a bit more damage, a bit more stuff like that. Haste totem for summoners, something like that.
I got a question from Silent Rob. How do you feel about the state of mines in the beta? I've been doing a mine build, and I think it's been okay, but I think lever construction needs to be changed or the mechanic reworked. So my issue with mines and traps right now, especially with the new mine that came out, which was Fire Nova mine, is it pulses, I think it's 4 times. I think it pulses 4 times or 3 times. Every pulse, it gains more damage. It gets a multiplier. The problem with that is if you're not using clever construction, it one-shots itself to reflect. I'm pretty sure that's intended because mines have like no HP and one HP. Two, since you needed to get into the last stage, you need to pretty much grab clever construction to ensure that it stays alive. And now with Act 4, with Act 4 now, if you try to run Combs area without clever construction, I'm not saying you can't do it because I've done it, but when the mobs use Firestorm, anything that possibly that has AoE will just one-shot a mine or a trap. So Tornado Shot will kill it, Leap Slam will kill it, Freeze Pulse will kill it, Firestorm will kill it. Any type of AoE will just kill it. So I think it's kind of, I don't really know how I feel, because if you are playing a mine character, you probably want to take the mine, like it would make sense for you to have to grab the mine, like the big cluster. Like if you're going crit daggers, you're probably gonna grab Adder's Touch. Is it Adder's Touch it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can totally understand it in a way.
Yeah. In light of them like fixing things that are mandatory, how would you feel about if they just like incorporated that into the mine mechanic, that mines can't be broken but traps can? Now I say this with full knowledge that this would probably be kind of screwed up for PvP.
Right.
Yeah, PvP.
I think that's fine because mines. I would say it's balanced to an extent, because unlike traps or unlike mines, traps you can throw, mines you cannot. You actually have to go there and place it. So my thought process about it is keep everything as it is now, but make it so when you're laying mines you cannot be stunned. But then I figured that could be abused as well, so I'm not really sure. I just feel that mines are just in a bad spot.
Stun avoidance, really mine placement strategy. Just spamming mines.
Yeah, well,
now you can't stun me. You're already stunned while placing it anyway.
It's just silly. It's like, think about it like this. Think about playing a mine character without instant detonation and without clever construction. So just think of it like that. If you're playing a mine character, you're probably stacking, LE damage or spell damage or via spell crit. And in the current state of the meta, if you're not running Arctic Armor, Mom, or like Lightning Coil, Acrobatics or something, you're not very tanky for the most part. There are a few exceptions. So like you go into said mob, you place your mine, you get stunned, the mine doesn't go off, or say the mine does go off, then you try to detonate, you get stunned, you try to hit it again, you get stunned again, and then you just can't even do anything. And then it's just like, well, all this effort to place a mine that's probably not even going to one-shot everything. So I still think there's some quirky mechanics there that needs to be played. But it's hard, it's really difficult to figure out how you're going to do it.
Yeah, like the current playstyle mines, like I still think it needs a lot more. Like traps have come a long way, and you can pretty much make most skills that work on a trap. You can make at least a semi-decent build, but mines, they still feel too clunky. And like you said, apart from maybe lightning warp mines, it's like the only way you're gonna get your mine there instantly, or feels like instantly. Yeah, hopefully they do buff it. And then issues with the staff as well that you found. With the Fire Nova staff. Even though it allows you to detonate it twice, you have to wait until the Fire Nova mine finishes its 3 pulses just to detonate it again. It's not like you detonate it and then detonate it twice and you have all this craziness going on. No, you have to wait for it to finish, then you can detonate it again, which during that time you could just place more mines, so screw it.
It does, yeah, it is. It's awesome. It's so fast. You place mines so fast, but it's like, if you could just drop a mine, detonate, and it one-shots everything, why have to wait and then detonate it twice?
Exactly. They should probably change the mechanic behind how that works.
But it's really cool for like arc traps or arc mines, because they just instantly go off. So but then there's no crit on the staff, so it's like, why are you playing a mine build without a crit? Isn't that the whole point of going mines, for the multiplier and no reflect? So this just kind of up and down.
Another question here is, I'll take the quick one first. Flawless PoE asks about Blood Rage changes. Rory mentioned that they might look at changing the way Blood Rage work. It hasn't changed yet, so he mentioned that a possibility is making it a physical degen. This has not been confirmed yet. The idea was just, though, that they don't like just freebie gimmies for builds too much. So the idea that it's a freebie gimme for your your CI builds, etc., was kind of, maybe they want to move away from that somehow. And maybe with the strength of frenzy charges now, they might need to change Blood Rage a little.
I hope they don't.
Second question.
Because
you hope they don't?
Yeah, because it's like CI is not a freebie gimme because you have to go CI. You know what I'm saying? You have to put forth the effort to make CI work. Whereas other builds, you have to sustain Blood Rage, but you're not going CI. Like CI in itself
That's
is a
like
downside.
saying, you know, that's like saying, like for the reduced mana change, you know, it's like you have to get the auras. I mean, it's still just like a mandatory thing that you would do every time.
I suppose.
There's no extra thought in it.
Well, CI already just got a
It's not
nerf
like
because
CI's
of EB. CI just got wrecked. Well, they didn't get wrecked, but you know the change to ES recovery. You know, CI's biggest benefit is Val Discipline, and Val Discipline received a nerf because of Energy Shield recharge. The amount of ES you get.
It must still be really good, isn't it?
It's a sixth. It's a sixth of your ES per second rather than a third. So, like, Val Discipline was godly for CI. A third of your ES, that's 3k ES minimum a second. You know, if you got 9k, it's crazy. But now it's a sixth, so, I mean, you notice a nerf just because they're changing EB, CI gets nerfed. So, I hope because they change Frenzy Charge, CI doesn't get nerfed because, you know, Blood Rage. It's just like how much is going to hurt CI because of another mechanic in the game.
Yeah, fair enough. This is just an idea that they said they're tinkering with. Nothing's firm on that yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question was Vipar is asking do you think the 1 month is drawing attention away from the beta? No one is playing the beta because of the race now. Box is still playing the beta, aren't you?
Yep, I played the race and I died to Xandro Blooddrinker from this thing called Desync. He was low life and I looked at him and he looked at me.
Xandro.
Yep, I looked at him and he looked at me, and on my screen he didn't leap slam. On his screen he leap slammed. So I died and rage quit at level 5. Game's too hard for me, QQ, and I'm back in beta now with my 6th link and I feel overpowered.
Sound a little casual to me.
I'm really casual. Actually, Etup's playing with me. That's right, Etup's back on here, I think.
Yeah, I think
Uber's here
it's just
too.
like, you know, the first couple days or the first week or something.
Yeah. Personally,
It's not really going to draw away from the beta for too long, I don't think.
I want to play it. It's just after playing the beta, I feel spoiled, and it's like I got to Act 2, and I'm just like, where's my waypoint? And I was like, where is it? And I'm like, oh, I have to run all the way over here to do this. And I'm like, Sins, you have 3 levels now? When did that happen? So
So I think we're all set for the day. I mean, it's 5:01. I think we're good to go. Do you guys have any closing segments you'd like to talk about?
happy
No,
Mother's Day.
just thanks for tuning in, guys. It was good to have Carl on, and thanks for your questions. And having a lot of fun on testing the beta and stuff. It's exciting times for PoE in general, and heaps of growth too for PoE. Like heaps of new players coming and checking it out now. Like stream numbers for everyone, it's gone up heaps. It's really kind of good to see the community growing so much and being so strong at the same time. It's good stuff.
Well, without further ado, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we're headed out. This time I'm going to wait a good 30 seconds. Okay, Ziggy?
Oh, yes. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
30 seconds.
What do we do for 30 seconds?
30 seconds. I go, waddle, waddle.
Till the very next day, bum, bum, bum. Yeah, I should have talked about Drop Bear. No, on a serious note, did you know what Drop Bear's base damage is almost